So I'm going to tell my experience with buying a car and what happened and how it happened and how I got ripped off for $18,000 by people that I thought cared about me. Okay, first, some backstory. My sister and I used to chat back in the 80s and 90s, and she told me she was going to own a bank and that she was going to have an LLC corporation so that nobody could sue her, right? So I go to buy a car, and the year is 2019. At this point, I'm driving a 20 plus year old car, so I feel it necessary to get something a little newer. So I got a 2009 vehicle, which I bought at Byrider, which I thought the financing was going through, but somehow it was going through my sister, and let me explain. A month after I bought the vehicle, I was told that I needed to come back to the dealer and fill out more paperwork. And at this point, I had already made my first payment. And so what I did was, I told them I didn't even have the gas money to get there, so I wasn't sure how that was going to work. So they told me they would fill up my gas tank if I came back. Little did I know that little full tank of gas was going to cost me about $18,000 on a $5,000 car. So my credit score was in the 700s, but somehow this was transferred into 29% interest, which I thought if you had good credit, you got a good credit score, or you got a good interest rate. Not the case. So a month after I had already signed the contract, they told me I had to come back and sign another contract, which I thought was very strange. So I went back and I was reading the whole thing from front to back, and it was several pages. And it was to the point they were getting mad at me because I was taking so long to sign it. And I said, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna read what I'm signing. I'm not a complete idiot. So I read the document, and it wasn't quick enough for them. They said, you need to just sign here. This says the same thing the last one said, blah, 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 blah. And I said, okay. So in the meantime, this guy goes out and he puts a tracker on my vehicle. And mind you, it wasn't put on to begin with, but a month later, they put this tracking device on my vehicle. And basically, it was my sister, my older sister. She somehow bribed this company to call me back in, make me sign another contract, and she was the bank. She paid cash for the car, and she was the bank. So I'm making these payments to MoneyGram at Walmart. And the strange thing is, there's no record of these payments, so I guess she paid off MoneyGram too. But at one point, I had called Byrider and asked them about my account and that I wanted the warranty taken off, because when I went to use the warranty, they charged me, and they were not supposed to do that. So at this point, I said, I'm being ripped off. I want that taken off. Well, they never took it off. And the guy on the phone said to me, how are you making your payments? And I said, through MoneyGram. And that's how I've always made the payments. And mind you, he says to me, we don't take MoneyGram. And I said, well, that's how I've been paying my payments. So I get a little suspicious at this point. And the next thing that happens, my keys get stolen. And I'm in Florida at this time, and I see my sister directly after this, and I realize she stole my keys. She had the lady that I lived with take my keys and give them to her because the car was now in her name, and every time I went to go get plates at a new address, there was a 3 or 5 month waiting period, which I'm not sure why this was happening, but I've since figured it all out. Byrider didn't have the title, my sister did. So when they were sending these documents requesting the title at the License Bureau, they were saying, we don't know where this car came from. It's not our car anymore, and nobody owes us any money on this car, so there was a problem. So every time I went to get plates, there was this 3-month wait, and it was because of this criminal activity. So I find out that all the money they're stealing from me, they're actually putting back in my bank with money that's supposed to be in a trust, because the car is paid for with my money, but it's in my sister's name because she has power of attorney, and it's through a fake court and a fake judge, and yeah, the whole thing is just so corrupt. So I transfer this loan after about 4 years of paying $337 to my bank, which now the payment's $185. And let me just say how God works. I wound up winning some money, and I paid the vehicle off, and it took me 6 months from the date I paid that car off to receive the title, which I was already in another state, and it was a real problem. So, yeah, there has been too many odd occurrences, and I actually wrote down how much did I pay for this 2009 vehicle that I've been paying on for 6 years, and it was to the tune of about 20 grand, very close. So this 330 whatever dollars was going toward a trust that I was in. The money was being stolen and recycled and put back in my bank. How clever. This plan was arranged for years, because I remember her saying, I'm going to own a bank. Little did I know the bank was her. And it was an LLC corporation, so she couldn't be sued. How clever, right? So I find out all this stuff, And God lays it on my desk and tells me exactly what happened and why they said that they received no MoneyGram money. That's not how they got their payments at Byrider. And the money was directly being deposited into my sister's private account. So, yeah, I'm sure she had some help with this one because she's not the sharpest tool in the shed. She thinks she's smart, but God is much smarter. Our smarts come from Him, not from somebody telling us what to do. So, yeah, I've been robbed. But there doesn't seem to be anyone to report the crime because it seems like many other people might be doing the same thing. So, yeah. And now I need another car. And they want to do the same thing and make me think I'm stupid. And no, I'm not buying another car because I already know what they're going to do. They're going to jack up the interest rate and screw me around again, and that's not going to happen. And my sister that thinks she got away with this crime doesn't know what I know. I had every receipt where I paid on this car, and it was in this little zipped up folder in my car, which, remember, she stole the keys. And those receipts came up missing, but why would somebody want my car receipts? Oh, that's proof that I paid the money, right? Yeah, it all fit. And at the time, I was living with these two old men, and he had stolen my keys, and he was going through my car getting documents for my sister. And then a day later, he says he found my keys, right? So here I'm living with these two old men that are brothers, and they fight constantly, and I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, and I'm giving the man $500 to stay there. And I paint his whole entire house, and he gives me $0 and $0 off the rent. So then he wants to be my friend, and I don't want to be his friend because friends don't rip people off. And I'm frankly tired of being robbed. But he keeps calling me saying he wants me to come back because he wants me to cook and be a little slave. And I have no interest in him. I wasn't interested when I lived there, and I'm still not interested. So no, that won't be happening. I know my sister likes to plan my life and likes to try to plan the people that I'm around and date. There won't be any more dating. So don't waste your breath. The only thing I care about is seeing my kids again, and I don't care about anything else. And if my kids are still alive, which nothing would surprise me at this point because so much illegal, immoral, horrible things have been done to me that nothing is unbelievable at this point of what these people might try to do. And yes, they're going to use the paranoid ploy and the grandiose trip that I'm on. Yeah, I'm on a trip. But I never left my house. The trip was God showing me the truth about everything and everyone that was in my life. And I have put an end to what they have done, because they're not smarter than God. So with that, I will close, and God bless the people that shit on me. God has a special place for you. I hope you all realize what you did, because God saw everything. Good day, and God bless.